Hello and welcome back to CW Live. Great to be back with you. This week, 8th of March is International Women's Day, a time to celebrate and bring focus to women's rights, achievements and hardships. More and more has been done over the years to bring greater equality and equity to women, so we should recognise and reflect on that. However, it's not all roses, and that's including within the CWU. Our current members are over 80% male, and with such a majority, that means there may be issues affecting female identifying members that aren't being addressed, from gender-based or sexuality-based discrimination, harassment, and other barriers. So, this week, we're going to have the conversation that we need to have. And there's no one better to be our main guest this week than our Head of Equality, Education and Development, Kate Hudson. Kate, welcome.
Hello, good to finally meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for being here.
That's all right.
First of all, for anyone who's not completely clear on what your role actually is and what it means and what it encompasses, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do and how you got here?
Oh, how I got here, that's an interesting one. But look, we were in 2018 at Redesign Conference. We decided as a union to merge the two departments. So we used to have education department and then an equality department. When you sit back and think about it, both are very intersectional and very, work together very well. So as a union, we decided to merge the two departments, which is when I took up the role in 2019. So literally my department around education, we look after our regional ULRs and our local ULRs, our union learning reps, that is. Sorry, I have to be very aware of acronyms in the CW. We basically provide courses for our members locally. And also I cover the prospectus for our reps, the training that they need on the ground throughout the year. Equality, we've got regional equality leads that cover 4 strands mainly, which is disability, BAME, women and LGBT+, and they sit under my department as well. We have those roles in some areas locally as well. And literally it does what it says on the tin. It is equality, education, and then we've got this word development that if it doesn't come under them two, I can always slide it under development. So yeah, it's a really good department to cover as a head, because there's lots of new things out there and you can bring things together and make them work in tandem. So yeah.
How did you get there in the first place? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a postie yourself.
I was, very proud postie.
And so then you've gone from postie to, head of EED. What was your journey like? How did you get there? And what was it like for you personally?
So I literally went into Royal Mail as a casual to start with. I lived across the road from a mail centre and used to see all the different shifts going. And I started as a casual worker, and as an agency worker, I wanted in Royal Mail, but the agency would only put you in if you were a good worker and you weren't going to let them down. So, I let them know I want into this place. This place looks good. So I went in as a part-time I went in as an agency worker, then I went on to Royal Mail part-time. I was actually then earning more part-time for Royal Mail than I was as a full-time agency worker. Got my own uniform, bib and brace, which I loved, and everyone who works for Royal Mail will get me, who's been there a long time. So got my own uniform, got a good pension, joined the union on day one, got good terms and conditions. I lived on my own at the time, so I used to go in to the subsidised canteen before my shift and have my tea for £2.50. Great things. And actually what I realised, I'd never experienced trade union before. I actually realised at that point, this is what a trade union does. Yeah. This is what it gets you in the workplace. So yeah, within 6 months became a rep. The other rep on shift decided I had a lot to say. So I became a rep on shift, moved through the ranks. At that point, actually, and I don't think Royal Mail do it anymore, they actually taught me to drive. And then I passed my 7.5 tonne truck licence as well. So I then went on to distribution, became a distribution rep. Then the role of regional secretary, as assistant regional secretary, the role of regional secretary for the Midlands region came up, to which when I was asked, would I cover it? I said, I'll cover it, but I won't stand for it. The reason I said I won't stand for it is because I didn't have the confidence. I thought there's no way I can be a regional secretary. And to be honest, I loved where I was on distribution in South Midlands Mail Centre. I loved it, and everything that I was part of. So yeah, I said I'll cover it, but I won't stand for it. And once I started covering it, oh my God, I then realised what the trade union movement does in the wider forum outside of the CWU. I got it. I got the connections. And actually, as a woman, it was the first time in the union that I could write my own agenda. And that's quite powerful. And the Midlands region, were very much up for trying new things, which is what I did. And then the role came up of equality, education and development. And I took on board something that I say to other women. I thought to myself, if I'm not willing to step up for the challenge, how can I ask other women to step up? And again, sometimes we let opportunities pass us by that will never come again. And I also wanted to give something back to the CW because I love everything that it's give to me and our members. So I thought, let's go for it. And now I'm here.
It's quite a journey.
Yeah.
But on that journey, I imagine, and as you pointed out, being a woman as well, were there any challenges that you faced being in such a male-dominated area, from becoming a rep or becoming a regional sec? I imagine it couldn't have been easy.
No. You have to do things differently sometimes, I think, as a woman. I'll give you an example, distribution. We came in from different areas, into the one big mail centre, different postcodes. And I wanted to be the distribution rep, but I knew if I'd have stood for that role at that point in time, I wouldn't have got it. So I stood for the substitute role, knowing that I had to show what I was as a rep, knowing and understanding I was probably at the time one of 2 women on distribution, and actually giving an opportunity for the members on distribution to get to know me, but mainly to show what I could do and what I could bring, because I knew if I'd have stood for the main role then, it probably would have been the male representative that would have got in. So I'd done that. I stood for the substitute position. I showed the members what I was about, and after 2 years I stood for the main role and I won.
So you think because you're a woman, some people would have held that against you when voting? Do you think that would be the
definitely.
case?
I actually got told when I won the main position, after that 2-year period, I actually had a member come up to me and say, I didn't vote for you because you were a woman.
Wow.
Wasn't complaining when I got him off the attendance procedure. But, what do you say to that? There's so many things in your head you want to say to that. But, yeah, it's a reality. Yeah.
Do you feel as if maybe things are a little... Obviously, societally, we've moved forward a little bit. Obviously, there's still so much more work to be done. But have things got any easier for women now in the workplace, do you feel?
I hope so. I really hope so. But I still think those challenges are there. When you think about women, we are the ones with mainly the caring responsibilities. I would imagine 9 times out of 10 when your child is sick at school, it's the mum that gets called. We have other things that are on our agenda that we have to multitask with, and all those things do come into consideration. I would like to think it's got better, but I'm sure there's still those challenges out there.
Of course. And so, obviously being in the role that you are, or just while you're a regional sec or even a rep, you must have heard some stories from other women. What kind of stories have you heard, and what is the union doing to help these women with their issues?
You do hear stuff out there on the ground. A lot of it is, not being supported as much as they could be, that it's all about industrial and equality is not always as important. Where actually, if you get it right and you get the right support, both can work really, really well together. And for us as a department, it's about making sure that we give that support and we champion women and we encourage them and we actually educate them and give them the tools to get better at what they do and to move through this union.
I see. And is that through just, what kind of resources are out there for women within the union, women members? And you also do events as well, is that right?
We do events. We do a lot of events, and we're going to be doing a lot more. So literally, we have Equality Day at Conference, which was all about mainstreaming the union, and it was a great success when we done that originally. Last year, we had a 2-day equality event where all of equality comes together and we cover off different agenda items for each strand, and that can be really powerful as well, some of the things that you hear and that you learn. And also what we've started to do, and literally just done it this week, is the women's networking event. Look, I'm very much... when I started this role in 2019, I was 3 months into it and we locked down. We went into COVID. I had to shut classrooms down, which is one of the hardest things to do as head of the Education and Equality Department. But one of the things we said we would do in redesign was that we would continue with networking events, safe space events. And we haven't been able to do that because of COVID, and then obviously limitations because of the dispute. So when we were coming into 2024, for my team, it was a very exciting time because it was, right, we can plan, and there's not likely to be many things that are going to hinder what we want to now move forward. So straight away I was like, right, International Women's Day. We're always at TUC Women's Congress, which is where I'll be going this week. And literally it was like, right, what are we going to do? Okay, we can't do it on the day, we'll do it in the run-up. Let's get women together, let's get them in a room, and let's get that networking going. And it's the first one we've done this year, and it was fantastic. I was a very happy woman at the end of the day.
Oh, as you say, it's exactly what you did. You had one just this week, and here's a look at what happened over there.
Just like to say it was a great day today at the women's event. Very informative, nice and great to meet new faces and get to know the ones that are here as well. And I look forward to having more of these conferences.
It was a big eye-opener, and hearing some people's experiences, what they've gone through to get to the stage they're at, that pushed them that bit further. I'm absolutely horrified to hear a couple of those cases, and I'm glad they was able to see it through and get to where they are now.
I really did enjoy the last bit about the suffragettes and suffragists. That was quite interesting. Just the way that it was put together, that Martin put it together. That was very interesting. And that was very good because you don't get to... In my branch, I'm the only female, so you don't really get to meet other women.
We've had a very good turnout. Quite a few women that's come out, attended. The day was a very successful day. A lot of networking and taking people's numbers and letting other women know that there is a women's network out there, that we all stick together and we all help each other.
That looked absolutely amazing, Kate. Tell us a little bit about what happened on the day.
So literally we had some key speakers come in from the union. We put an invite out to other women who work in CW headquarters to come and join us throughout the day. Some other national officers, executive members. We had our president, Karen Rose, speak, who you've met. And she always delivers a fantastic speech and is inspiring to listen to. Again, Shelley Banbury, a woman who sits on the postal executive. You know, it's all about our journeys, where we've come from. We've all had challenges, but let's be open about them. And actually, I think a key theme that came out from all our speakers was around, we need these networking events because women push women through. And we've been there and we can learn from each other. And actually, some of the other key themes that were coming out through the day was, you know, women will say, why don't you go for this? Why don't you think about this opportunity? So that was a very much running through the day. And then I did a presentation around the work that we've done on sexual harassment in the union, and just generally kept breaking off as well to make sure that women had that networking, getting to know each other. And again, I've got to be honest, in the CW, it's the friendships that you form that do get you through. We all have, it doesn't matter what you do, we all have good days, bad days. It's the people you can pick up the phone to, the people that you can talk to and say, do you think I could do this role? You know, so honestly, 50 women signed up. The first networking event, we're doing the second one later in the year. I want double that. I want every woman that was in that room to bring another woman. I want women to talk about it. We're rebuilding now. Yes, we've still got COVID, but we're not in lockdown. We're through the disputes. Now it's time to rebuild and get those networking events really moving forward. And we're going to be doing it with all those other strand groups as well.
Here's hoping you get those numbers. I mean, hoping as well it makes an impact, but by the sounds of it, already has, you know.
Yeah.
But there were a few women members there as well that wanted to ask you a question. So we recorded them. They're going to ask you directly. Cool. First up, we have Mel.
Oh, I love Mel.
Hi Kate, Mel from Scotland #1 here. We've got our merch saying that women's place is within the union. So how do women become more involved? They can ask their branch, they can obviously stand up, but where do they actually begin? How do they become active?
How do women get more involved?
Well, there's two things that come to my mind straight away. Those women's networking events, one of the key themes I want to get out to branches, so I hope you're listening, is around, if you've got vacancies, there is a role for women in their union, and there's a role for women in the CWU. So if you've got vacancies, you don't have to be a woman's representative or a female representative in the CWU to come to those networking events. It could be that someone was on the picket line and has shown a bit of interest, or actually you've looked at someone and thought you would be good in the CWU. So it's about sending them through, you know, and they can link into our department so they're not on their own, to get that support and actually dip your toe into the pool of the CWU. It's a great place and there's something for everyone, you know. So it's the networking events is one of the things that first come to mind. And also we have a Women in the CWU course, which again, you don't have to be a representative to go on. You will meet, you know, like-minded women. You will get to know a little bit more about the CWU. And again, that could be a first step process of deciding, am I ready to stand to be a representative or not?
Okay, so events and resources galore.
Yeah,
there you go, Mel. Thank you. Next up, we've got Arlene.
Hi, Kate. I'm Arlene Whitaker from Mount Pleasant branch, and I would like to know how to set up a women's group within my office, and any information and help would be much appreciated. Thank you.
There we go. How about that?
Oh, well, that's a great question for me. I was actually going to do a presentation on how to set up a women's committee yesterday, but I didn't want to kill them by PowerPoint. So I'd literally just done the sexual harassment one. So I have got the resources. And actually in the Women's Officer Toolkit, which is a resource for women's officers, it does talk about, I set up a women's committee in the National Distribution Centre and in South Midlands Mail Centre some time ago, 2009. And it was about, I've literally put some resources together about how I did that, how I worked with Royal Mail to do that. So I think just from Arlene's question, maybe I should get that out there and push it out a little bit more. Yeah. Or in the next networking event where we're going to have 100 women, I could present it then.
There we go, Arlene. Come to the next event and you'll get to know, or probably it'll be on the website, which we'll talk about more later. But before that, let's get a bit more of a serious question from Tina next.
Hi Kate, I'm Tina from the Leicestershire branch. I want to ask, we all know someone that's been harassed or have been sexually harassed ourselves. So what are the CWU doing about sexual harassment?
What is the union doing, Kate?
Oh, a lot. Educating, and we're speaking up. Enough is enough. You know, so literally sexual harassment, we've sat down as an NEC, looked at ourselves as a union and said, what can we do better? Are we doing everything right? And we've mapped out a course of action, and along that we've got 2 new booklets now. One is around for members, so it talks about what sexual harassment is, because 9 times out of 10 the first thing as a woman will say is it me? Am I overthinking it? Is it sexual harassment? They'll question it. So the booklet for women, for women, and it does happen to men, but mainly women, statistics show us that's the case, is around what sexual harassment is. There's a log form in there. So as representatives, we're very much educated to, on certain cases, make sure you date it, time it, log it, what happened, because everyone's not ready to step forward at a certain point. So there's a resource in there that helps members do that. And then there's other resources. It could be even just using a resource around an informal letter or email, or how to do that, just asking them to stop. As simple as that. Some members just want it to stop. So there's a pack there for members. And then we've also put together a toolkit for representatives, which has got members' briefs in, so we can educate and raise awareness. Not everybody understands exactly what sexual harassment is and the different forms it can be. So there's that there for representatives to use as a resource. And also we're putting in key pieces of education as well, where we're going to train up some of our reps to work hopefully with our tutors to get out there and actually do exactly what I've just said. Raise awareness, keep talking about it, speak up, speak out, break the silence. That's what we've called our project. We've done other things from headquarters, our GS, SDGS, senior policy advisors, HR, all went on sexual harassment training before Christmas. We're now going to make that mandatory for all, well, we have actually made it mandatory for all national officers within the first 6 months, executive members. So it's about always getting it top of the agenda. And a key point, and I speak the same as Nikki Pound, who I first heard say this is just phase one. You can't just go, right, that's it, the work's done, we've ticked the box and we're all happy and can go home. That's not how it works. We're now mapping out what phase two is, and part of that is the education and training, and we're going to keep speaking up about sexual harassment, and we don't want it, and how you can, stop it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll touch more on the resources in a little bit, but before that, on the back of that last question, let's talk about harassment in the workplace. The CWU has produced a film to highlight the instances where many women in the workplace may experience such harassment. Please have a watch.
Right, Sarah. Must be time in a month.
Fix my connection any day, darling. Maybe give one of the boys a bell to help you.
This is not okay.
First of all, Kate, as shown in the film, it looked like harassment can really be experienced anywhere and from anyone, whether it's by a colleague, member of the public, on the street, in the office. Is this really what it is like for some women out there?
Definitely. Whether in a workplace or just as a woman walking down the street. I mean, when is enough going to be enough? And stuff like that stops. As a woman, and we speak often as women when we get together about this, when you put your keys in your pocket, in your hand, in case you think someone's going to attack you, when you pretend to be talking to someone on the phone because you're walking down the street and you maybe see a group of men coming up and you're unsure of the situation. These are the things we do as women on a daily basis, and it's not right. It's seriously not right. And, I've never done deliveries in Raw Mail, but I've been out on collections, and it's draining. Some of the comments that are made, the whistling. As a woman, you can walk up the road, see some scaffolding, and you know what's coming before you've even got there. This is the reality of, for women, unfortunately. But what we have to do is keep talking about it and saying it's not okay. When I sat down and had this conversation with my husband, he was just so surprised. He was like, really? And I was like, yes, really. That is the way we have to think as women, and it's wrong.
And now, to my knowledge, if women do decide to speak up and report an instance of sexual harassment, with some companies, it's not logged as a separate incident, but rather it's logged as a part of bullying and harassment instead. So how does this affect how both companies and the union recognise just how prevalent sexual harassment can be?
Well, it's hard to break down, isn't it, then? If we went to one of our employers and said, can we see how many cases are coming through? It's hard to pinpoint and break down how many cases actually are sexual harassment, because like you said, you're quite right, it comes under bullying harassment. And this is part of the work that our national executive have said. We've created as a department some model policies that, would be better for people in the workplace, our members in the workplace around sexual harassment. And we're hoping that our executives are going to pick some of that work up and push for actually to have a standalone sexual harassment policy in the workplace, because it will make a difference and it will identify how big the problem actually is.
Now, going back to it, I think you touched upon it just before we watched the film, but in regards to some women may not be all right, you know, with actually reporting things, or they may not be able to recognize what harassment is in the first place. Even, you know, some men out there may to experience harassment, but they may have difficulty recognizing it. So what can be done to help them? You said there are some resources where they can actually look and say, oh, okay, this may have happened to me, I should say something. Yeah,
definitely. And that it's education. It's education and awareness. That's why I love my department, where it fits with equality, like we were talking earlier. But it's speaking up about it, and actually it's those resources that sit on our new website that's launched this week, where you can go and you can read about it. One of the big things as well is where sometimes people think they can't put a case in because they used to go out with somebody. That's not true. If it's unwanted attention, and you're not comfortable with it, you can make it stop.
I see. So there doesn't need to be a and an R, and you can actually talk to someone and figure out, you know, through them, you know, has something happened, rather than just in your mind think, no, absolutely not. Okay, so it's better to have that communication in the first place.
Definitely, and that's part of why we've done the toolkits as well, so members can read up on what sexual harassment is, what you can do to stop it and prevent it, and how you can go to your representative and report it. And make sure that it does stop. But mainly it's around what it is, so you know, the education, so you know, it's not me, this ain't right.
We've talked a lot about toolkits, resources and whatever else, and they're incredibly handy, but what else is handy is the new website that you and your team have created. Now, this website, what it is basically is something that Kate and the team have created over the last few months. For all our members, you can now have a one-stop shop for all of the resources you can need, be it about quality, education or development. From courses to advice, contact info to updates, head over to education.cwu.org and check it out. So, this website, what is so good about it? I mean, we had, I believe, Left Click before. How does this differ from Left Click, and what else does it offer that it didn't?
I'm going to quote my good friend Brian Parsons from the Northwest, who said it's less clicks. One of the things, Left Click, when I became into the role, when I come into the department, one of the things I was constantly being told is Left Click, it's clunky, it's hard to navigate, it's hard to use. I then tried to use it and I gave up. If I'm not going to use it, I don't expect anyone else to use it. It was a great resource when it was first formed from the education department. But actually we've moved on. And as a merged department, I thought to myself, we've got all these things that we're doing, but there's no one-stop place for you to find it. So literally the Equality Education and Development website is everything we do as a department. Also in the Northwest, we had a motion to conference that said we want a place to find our equality resources. We can't find them. They're spread around, you know, the CW. We want, you know, easily online place to go to those resources. And there's a big online resource library as part of that website. So hopefully, and I'm just going to say this, it's still, you know, it's gone live this week. You're always going to get the odd glitch with new things like this and technology. You get that probably more than most from a comms perspective. But I'm really excited about it, and I hope our reps and our members really, really enjoy what they see on there and hope it's useful.
Thank you, Kate. Here's hoping. And everyone, if you can go check out that website, that would be incredible. Do let Kate know what you think about it. Now, International Women's Day. The focus is quite obvious. It's on women, but we're talking about all women. So not only cisgender females, but transgender women too. And on the last day of this month, actually, we also have Transgender Day of Visibility. So to both acknowledge it and also hear from a woman doing a lot of work on inclusivity, here's Sarah Pitt.
I'm Sarah, and I'm a trans woman, which means that I was born a male and I'm now a female. I began my transition in 2017. The union has been terrific. I took advice from members of the LGBT people in the union. I've been representing the union for LGBT affairs for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've got a good response in various parts of the country. The people against us would have us painted as troublemakers, but on the whole, trans people and various types of transgender people are just people trying to get on with their lives and trying to live their lives to the best ability they can. When I first started transitioning, the person I lived with now, my best friend, took me in at no cost to herself at all, and was there for me. And that's what I try to be for my friends, try to be there for them when they need me. And that's what I try to do for our members, try to be there for them. Because I know people were there for me when I needed them, and I want to be there for them when they need them. And I'm sure that the people we've got coming up behind us are the same, and they will be there for the trans people and LGBT people when they need them. Transitioning is a difficult thing for some people, and it's not an easy ride. I mean, as I say, I make it paint it out quite rosy, but I've had family members who haven't spoken to me for 7 years, which breaks my heart. But I've got friends that have had serious mental illness, and a sense of not well-being is very prevalent in transgender people. The union is very good on mental health. We have got mental health ambassadors, and we help everybody with mental health, and especially we are trying to help our members. The best way someone can help is just be an ally to trans people and other LGBT people. Be there for them, support them, go to prides with them, go to equality conferences, learn as much as you can, and be a support. The best advice I've ever been given is be yourself and don't worry about other people. And if you need to do it, do it. It's not a choice, it's something that has to be done. Transgender people don't choose to be transgender. It's not an easy life. You lose family members, you lose friends, but you gain smashing friends and new groups of friendships. Don't hold it into yourself. Look for help. There's plenty of help out there if you need it. Come to us in the union and we'll point you in the right direction, and we'll help you in every way we can.
Some really personal and powerful stuff there from Sarah. Kate, you've watched that, and you've known Sarah for a number of years now too, actually. She's had a wonderful experience in the union as she transitioned, which speaks volumes for, the consideration and awareness of our members. But is there anything else that can be done, that we can do to help someone who is trying to find their identity, whether it's something proactive or, something as simple as just being there as an ally, as Sarah mentioned?
Yeah, there's loads we can do, and she's quite right. And Sarah's come on leaps and bounds and has really grown. Sits on our national executive actually at the moment, has brought a lot to that role. But when I was talking about the women's courses before, we've now got a LGBT plus course coming up in the CW, brand new course. We've worked with our LGBT plus regional leads to put that together, and it's about opening up the conversations again. Be an ally, not a bystander, 100%. And again, we go to the prides. We go to the pride events, and one of the big things that we're talking about, especially pushing out in 2024, is around education with the prides and getting more of our members to join us on those pride marches. When I said to you earlier about the CW just does such great things, but unfortunately not everybody knows about it. But we go on prides around the country, and we want members to join us, and we're there, and we want LGBT plus members to also get involved. There's so much that we do, honestly. Just get in touch. If you're watching this, if you're watching, go on the website, keep plugging it. You go on the website. There's so much, talk to someone in your branch, talk to someone in your union. Everybody's got a place in the CW. Get involved, and move forward with us and make things better.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kate. Just before we let you go, it's time for our regular feature, On the Spot.
Oh.
Yeah. Each week we'll ask our main guest, Kate this week, to answer the same 5 questions. Now, are you ready, Kate?
Go on.
Here we go. If you were elected Prime Minister, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Right, okay. NHS. Bring it back to its former glory. I've got to be honest, I was in Croatia a couple of years ago and I had a really bad fall. I fractured a rib. And it was the first time in my life I've had to go to a hospital abroad. And it was the first time in my life I've actually been spoken to about cost before care. And that hit home for me. The reality that actually this is the reality for some people in other countries. Luckily, I managed to phone home and got my EHIT card, which covers you, so that the cost in the end was minimal to what it could have been. Right. And that was just to have some x-rays and to be checked out. So, yeah, that really hit home for me. So I think I would first of all do a review of the NHS. I would invest in the people that invest in the NHS. A bit like what we do in Royal Mail. We invest in our posties to invest back into Royal Mail. Yeah, and I would make it great again.
It's a noble cause. If you weren't in the current role that you are, head of equality, education and development, what would you be?
Easy one, chef.
Chef.
Always wanted to be a chef. My dad was a chef. My uncle was a chef. My auntie was a chef. Always wanted to be a chef and cook.
Oh, what's your specialty? What cuisine do you go to?
Oh, everything. I love Greece. We tend to go Greece every year. So, but me and my husband, we just love to cook. We love food. We love everything about food. So, we spend more time in the kitchen than we do anywhere else in the house. It's a great environment.
Please do bring some in sometimes. What 3 items would you take with you to a desert island?
Oh, my husband.
Husband's an item.
Yeah, but everyone always says iPads, and I think, well, that ain't going to last so long with a battery, is it?
I was about to say electric whisk if you're going out there. And
probably a barbecue. At least you can cook. And it's got to be some books. Yeah, some books, definitely.
Gotcha. Your signature karaoke tune.
It's all right, I'm just thinking about my husband being an item now. Sorry, David. Go on.
Signature karaoke tune.
Oh, I don't know if you're going to know this. I still remember the town called Malice bit. Okay, so Nina, 99 Red Balloons.
I do know that.
I know every word. And I've never done karaoke.
The English version or the German version?
Not the German version. But I'll talk forever, but you'll probably never see me on a karaoke. But funnily enough, I was having this conversation with my husband last week, and I said, if I really had to, that's what I'd do, because I know all the words.
That's quite a song, actually. You know, I'd love to see that. It's a shame you wouldn't get on the karaoke stage. Right, 3 people, and you have to choose which one you would want to do the following with and why. Go to dinner with, share a prison cell with, and never see again. And your 3 people are MP Angela Rayner, former England footballer Jill Scott, and disgraced former television personality Kate Hopkins.
Oh, definitely never see her again. Never want to hear her again. Never mind, never see her again.
That was an easy one. All right.
Okay, so the next is share a cell with and dinner. Oh, I think I'd have dinner with Angela Rayner.
Okay.
Because as women in the movement, we can always learn something from each other. And I just want to talk about, being in the Labour Party as a woman and the challenges that brings. So, yeah, probably dinner with Angela Rayner and in a cell with Jill Scott, because I think she'd have a variety of, things that we could discuss. So, yeah.
No chance for Kate Hopkins then?
No, definitely not. Okay. Let's not even mention her again.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. Really appreciate it. Before we let you off, though, before we completely sign off, any final messages to our audience?
Get involved. Come to Prides. Get involved with all the work that we do. We are here for you. A woman's place is in a hair union. International Women's Day. Celebrate that. Just get involved. Just come on. Do it. What's the worst that can happen? I said this to a lot of women yesterday. You step up and then decide it's not for you, and you step back, but I guarantee you won't.
There we go. And here's hoping you do. Please do get involved. Thank you so much again, Kate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great talking to you. Right, that's it. Thank you so much for everyone watching. And who asked the question or was interviewed for the show? That's what we want, or more of on this show, by the way. More of you to get in touch, to ask the questions that you want answered. So please comment or send in your questions and thoughts. We'd really appreciate it. And to anyone out there who has or thinks they may have experienced or seen harassment taking place, do get in touch, whether it's anonymously or to build a case or simply to report an incident and leave it there. Please trust Kate, trust the team and the union to help you where they can. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and until next week, stick with your union.